Hi, it's Taylor T. Carlson. I'm back with another video for you. A few days ago, I published my Star Wars The Force Awakens review on here, which looked at the film, the novel, and the Marvel comic. One thing that I had neglected to cover in that throwdown review segment was the IDW graphic novel adaptation, and I'm going to make up for lost time now because I actually had a chance to check it out and review it. So how does this stack up compared to the Marvel comic adaptation of The Force Awakens, which I wasn't too big of a fan of? I'm sad to say that this version really is not any better, and in some ways, it may even be worse. Before I dive too heavily into all the complaints I have about this comic, I will look at the things that they at least did well. First of all, they've actually got character profiles at the beginning of the comic. I don't know that we really needed all of this information up front, as I think it's kind of better to have it unfold, but I thought that was a nice touch and something that did set it apart from the Marvel comic. Likewise, the opening Lorsan Tekka sequence, which was skipped over for who knows what reason in the Marvel comic, is mostly intact here, so that's something. There's even a sequence of Finn pointing a gun at one of his villagers that he's confronting on Jakku, and he hesitates to fire and lets her go. This is based on a deleted scene from the film, and I am glad to see that they put that in there. Unfortunately, just about all of the positive things I have to say about this comic end here. Right after this, the comic starts to feel a lot more rushed and inorganic. The scene where Finn removes his helmet and Captain Phasma confronts him, it's just very rushed. It's like 2 or 3 lines of dialogue, and then they just skip on to the next scene. We don't at all see Finn's fear or anguish here. And then, even the scene where Finn and Poe first get together and steal a TIE fighter feels very rushed over. The scene where he gives the name Finn to Finn happens while they're still in the hangar. We don't see any of the sequence of them flying around the Star Destroyer taking out the guns, which is one of my favorite parts of the movie because it's where they first really start to become friends and feel like they're making a difference. Of course, in the movie, we have the infamous scene of one of the guards for the First Order bringing Kylo Ren the bad news that the droid they're looking for got away in a freighter, and he whips out his lightsaber and starts destroying the control panel. And then he even force grabs the guy when he finds out that there's some girl involved. In this comic, all that happens is that guy gives him the bad news, and Kylo Ren asks about it. There's no scene of him using the Force, there's no scene of him using the lightsaber in anger to cut the place up. I mean, this shows us how mentally unstable and unpredictable Kylo Ren is, so you can't really skip stuff like this. But it's not the biggest missing thing, as you'll quickly see. The single biggest problem I have with this entire comic, it's completely missing the Guavian Death Gang sequence with Kanja Club and the Raftars. There's 2 major problems that result from this scene missing. First of all, you miss out on a great sequence of Han Solo being Han Solo, trying to talk his way out of a dilemma. And then, on top of that, how does Snoke know where BB-8 is? The whole reason Snoke knows BB-8's location is because of this sequence, because the leader of the Guavian Death Gang contacts the First Order. And then, of course, comes the mystery of what happens to Han Solo's big shipping vehicle that he was using during this scene. Obviously, he has to abandon it aboard the Millennium Falcon in the movie because he's got Kanja Club and the Guavian Death Gang out to get him, not to mention all the Raftars running loose on the ship. Here, it's just kind of gone with no explanation. Another huge bomb in this comic, one of my personal favorite sequences, is when Han, Rey, and Finn go to Maz Kanata's cantina on Takodana. They walk through the door, Maz looks at him, yells out, "Han Solo!" And then everyone in the bar stares at him because he's this infamous outlaw who's gotten himself into trouble with so many people. In this comic, Maz greets him, but nobody in the bar cares. Everyone just goes about their business. Again, completely ruined one of the best sequences from the movie. The Marvel comic also better handled the sequence of the Hosnian system being destroyed by Starkiller Base because it at least added in some extra exposition that explained who the people on the terrace were that got destroyed. The dark-skinned lady that we see there was actually Leia's aide, and the novel and the Marvel comic both added in a description of who that woman was. This comic doesn't do that, though to be fair, the movie doesn't bother telling us that either, so I can't hold this too heavily against this comic. The battle on Takodana with the stormtroopers is also very rushed. We don't even really get to see Han Solo doing much of anything. Another one of my favorite sequences in the movie is where he tries out Chewie's bowcaster to blow away a stormtrooper, and his reaction, of course, I like this thing. One of my favorite scenes in the movie because it's pure Han Solo, and of course, it's nowhere to be found here. And then, when Han and company go to Starkiller Base and they confront Captain Phasma to lower the shields, they order her to do it at gunpoint, and she just does it. There's no retorts, no arguments, no dialogue whatsoever, not even any mention of a trash compactor. The Marvel comic at least added an extra scene of her falling into the trash compactor. Another huge blunder here. And sadly, not the last one. Also rushed is the lightsaber battle between Rey and Kylo Ren at the end of the movie. And it's relegated to just like a few brief pages and panels here, despite the fact that it's a pretty epic struggle with all of them in the film. And the ending of the movie, where Rey travels to Ahch-To and she climbs the stairs to meet Luke Skywalker, they added a bunch of unnecessary exposition narratory boxes. That sequence in the movie had no narration whatsoever. The action spoke louder than words, and unfortunately, whoever wrote this comic simply did not understand that. Also worth mentioning is the art style throughout this comic is very childish looking. This is kind of par for the course for IDW. It works good in small bursts for their Star Wars Adventures canon comics, but for something like this that's a little darker and brooding, this style just does not do anything for me. Did you have a chance to read this adaptation of The Force Awakens? Did you like it more than me? Do you agree with what I said? Feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave your comments down below. I'm Taylor T. Carlson, and I will see you in my next Star Wars review.